Helmut Marko has been predictably in the papers once again this week, as there are rumoured rifts between him, Christian Horner, the Uvidia family, Max Verstappen, Oliver Mintzlaff, the press, and just about everyone else you can fit into a headline. What's clear from all of this is that on some level, however artificially imposed or truly earned it may be, this air of disharmony and controversy seems to follow Red Bull around of late and wholly juxtaposes this image of the perfect, brilliant, world-conquering champions that they are. According to Helmut, the rumours can be viewed like this. Through the new constellation following the death of Dietrich Mateschitz, everything is different. People are trying to realign their powers. But who exactly is Helmut? Is he actually a doctor, and just how key is he to Red Bull's past, present, and their future? Well, like many of us, Helmut grew up with a love of racing and a dream to one day get involved at the highest level, both in the car and outside of it. And no matter what you think of his press quotes or his personality, what you absolutely cannot deny on an objective basis is that Helmut Marko has done exactly that. So if we cut forward from his love of racing and his boarding school friendship with 1970 F1 champ Jochen Rindt, it was spring in 1967 when he finished law school and earned his title of doctorate. Then he headed straight into the world of race driving, making his professional debut at the 1967 6 Hours of the Nordschleife. And what Helmut often makes clear when he reflects on this time in his life is that he was always leaving Austria, going to Germany, going to Italy, and going to England. It was a key indicator for him about the lack of Austrian motorsport culture that he had in his home country, and then in turn how fundamental Jochen Rindt was in creating the culture that they have there now today. And it was at that time too that in the late 1960s and the early 1970s that a certain teenager named Lauda was making headlines as the next fast young star. So if we cut forward once again, it was in 1971, after the tragic death of Jochen Rindt the year before, when Marko's greatest racing triumph came. It was a dominant prototype Le Mans victory and a distance record in the Martini Porsche outfit. What an incredible car to win, and what a race to win as well. This is the days of Le Mans where it was a 2-driver team, not a 3-driver team. So that level of skill, stamina, and the devotion to excellence in racing was a huge achievement for the boy from Styria who had once dreamt of success in the top class. Helmut's career was sadly cut short though. The next year in Formula 1 at the 1972 French Grand Prix, a loose stone was launched from the rear wheel of Ronnie Peterson's March car into Helmut's helmet visor, leaving him blind in his left eye. So let's look next then at the management era of Helmut's rise. Without a future on track, it was instead time to use that knowledge of racing successes and shortcomings to build something. First managing primarily Austrian and German young drivers, and later stepping into junior team ownership, the value of Marko's passion and knowledge built on his experience behind the wheel quickly saw the drivers he was managing rise to success. The first record of Team Helmut Marko dates back to the 1981 Le Mans race, in which he fielded an all-German lineup. Then through the 80s the team grew until they set their sights in the prestigious F1 feeder series International Formula 3000. And there are plenty of stories of controversy and triumph to dive into here that far outweigh the length of this video. But in the history books of Helmut Marko's team, one name stands out. In 1997, a young Colombian talent by the name of Juan Pablo Montoya joined the team and finished P2 in the standings at the end of that year. 1997 was also the first year in which Christian Horner's name finds its way into Marko's story, both as a driver in International Formula 3000 and a competing team owner with Arden. And it was also around this time where the first meeting between Marko and Red Bull CEO and owner Dietrich Mateschitz took place. And after some of those meetings, what they decided was to come together and build the Red Bull Junior team, using Marko's experience and Mateschitz's connections and money to sponsors, build a team, a foundation for young drivers to get opportunities, to give them to the right drivers that could be future stars, and to do it better than anyone else. And Red Bull's entrance to the top class Formula 1 came, as many know now, in 2005 after the sale of the Jaguar team, and it was a sale that Marko was privy to as the manager of Christian Klein, who was driving for that Jaguar team in 2004. Klein then went on to take a seat at the newly founded Red Bull Racing, with Vitantonio Liuzzi as his co-driver, and they shared the seat throughout the year. And then in 2007 they were both replaced by another ex-Jaguar driver, Mark Webber, who joined the team and stayed there until 2013. And then of course around this era too, in 2006 Toro Rosso was born out of the sold Minardi team. A call now that seems like a masterstroke, as it enabled Red Bull to have a front-running team and a young driver development team both in the top class of Formula 1, and in turn mean that there were 4 seats available for their young drivers to compete for. Not only was a fast start with Toro Rosso key for the development of drivers like Vettel, Ricciardo and Verstappen, it was also a brilliant opportunity for the development of talent within the team but outside of the car. For the engineers to designers, they could get that experience, get that start with the Toro Rosso, and graduate to Red Bull just like the drivers would do. Anyway, Red Bull's winning era really begins in the closing stages of the 2009 World Championship, as young star Sebastian Vettel and experienced Aussie Mark Webber brought the fight to brawn towards the end of the year. and as Martin Brundle would say, that time it was a day late and a dollar short. But since then, we've seen 2 periods of dominant success from the Milton Keynes factory. They've built a team that both holds on to the best talent of F1's previous eras, attracts up-and-coming talent to build for the future, and created the single most successful Team Young Driver ladder in the sport's history. 7 Drivers' World Championships and 6 Constructors' World Championships, the careers of Sebastian Vettel, Daniel Ricciardo, Carlos Sainz, Pierre Gasly, Alex Albon, Liam Lawson, Yuki Tsunoda, Max Verstappen, and even more coming through the ranks. The trend of competing in the front of F1 has been set and is likely to continue for a while now into the future. And again, with Marko playing a fundamental role within that, a role that puts him among a team of leaders, but a significant role nonetheless. And I think all of that just about catches us up to this week, where the headlines are dominated by a rumoured division within the team. And I think conservatively that we will see some concrete change in direction after this. And it's not always a great rule to go by, but if you combine the logic of where there's smoke there's fire and the reductionism of Occam's razor, it's very likely that there are contrasting visions about Helmut's future role within the team going on within Red Bull's ranks. If you're on the board of any of Red Bull's big sponsors, it's quite easy to follow the logic that the reputational cost of his press antics now outweighs his benefits in leadership, understanding, and his contribution to the team's current and future success. Yes, he's contributed in the past, but where is he going in the future? But Max Verstappen thinks the opposite, and instead seemingly sides with Marko in this tussle, the man who spearheaded his rapid development to F1 and gave him the opportunity to now be entering the elite status of drivers in F1 history. So when asked about it this week, Christian Horner, as he has had to do many times, downplayed it to the media and stated that I competed against Marko and his team, and then when he was responsible for the junior drivers at Red Bull, I contracted those drivers from him in Formula 3000 and won the championship. And then as a result, he recommended me and provided me with the opportunity in front of Dietrich for the Red Bull team principal role. Without Helmut, I wouldn't be in the position that I am today. Like with the young drivers that he has given an opportunity, he also gave me that opportunity. We've always enjoyed a very strong and open relationship. Of course, there are things we disagree on now again, but I think that's healthy. And meanwhile, Max Verstappen's perspective on the issue was that I saw from the outside that people are trying to basically talk some BS, and I think the mood in the team is very good. Everyone knows exactly where the role is, and of course, sad times last year when Dietrich passed away, we tried to keep that legacy, keep it moving forward, and everyone that we have right now is important to the success that we're having. So that's why there's also no changes for the future. I think that basically explains it. When we consider all of this then, the rise through the ranks, the changes in Formula 1, his knowledge, his experience, his victories on track and off track, and the way he deals with the ever-quick and hungry-to-print sports tabloids, Red Bull would probably not exist and have the complicated reputation that they do today without Helmut. And when the result of that relationship is one of the most dominant seasons of all time, developing 2 drivers who have in separate F1 eras won both 9 races in a row in 2013 and 10 races in a row this year, all while signing and keeping the best designer in the sport, the fastest average pit crew, and a team manager who has been there throughout the whole rise. I mean, I've said it before, there's so much to factor in when we consider Helmut's entire role in Formula 1. For what they were and what they are now, Helmut has been an undeniably powerful causal influence in their success. But for what they need to be down the line, the press dominance and the week-to-week fan culture that we see within Formula 1, sharper PR management would undeniably cause them less headaches. It's still, I think, quite easy to empathise with Helmut though in many ways. You spend your life in motorsport and even at 80 it's hard to quit when you're at the top and no one wants to be ousted out. He says he's contracted for next season. I have a contract until the end of next year. When and how I stop, when it's over, I decide, and not, for example, Mr. Horner. But just as many people in our Instagram comments were quick to point out, Nick De Vries had a contract, Danny Kvyat had a contract, and Sergio Perez still has a contract for 2024, despite the Ricciardo chat. So maybe that's a little more than a bargaining chip in the termination negotiations for some kind of larger stock or cash payout. So as always, let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think Helmut should stay? Is he a key part of their future or of just their past? And along with that, I'll say thank you very much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and turn the notifications on so you never miss a video from us. And check out our website too for coverage across the motorsport world. I'll be back after the US Grand Prix to round up all the action.